Ooh, welcome everyone to another episode of Slasher Scotty. I am your host, Scotty McCoy, and boy, do I have a surprise for all of you. I have on Zoom with me right now Michael Leavy, and he played Will the Exterminator in Terrifier. And he also has a new movie coming out that we will be talking about, Stream, it's called. So how you doing, Michael?
I'm doing great. It's an honor to come on here. It's my first one after the holidays, so it's going to be a lot of fun. And it's truly a pleasure to be here with you.
Awesome. I truly appreciate it. I know Greg Gilbert, you were in an interview with him with Python's Paradise, and he sent me your Facebook information and told me about Stream. And I'm like, you know what? I'm going to do everything I can to get you on the show and promote Stream for you. And I'm so glad that you accepted.
Thank you, man. Yeah,
Yep.
I enjoy doing these, and Greg's a great guy, so I'm happy to do this for you.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. So the first question I got for you is, how did you get your start into acting?
You know, it's funny. Ever since I was a kid, really, is where it all began. Used to do auditioning in little commercials, local commercials, do national commercials. Really had the bug at a young age, like 3 or 4 years old. I just knew it was something I wanted to do.
Right.
And then as I got older, I realized that something I was very fascinated by and interested in was the other side of the camera, which was producing, directing, editing, things like that. So a lot of my time now is focusing more on those kind of things, but I sure do still love acting and, still have a blast anytime I get an opportunity to do so.
That's awesome. So, you have a new movie coming out titled Stream. So, can you tell us a bit about this? What is it about? Who's involved? How can people get involved? How can they see it? All this different stuff.
Sure. So Stream is a horror slasher franchise that we're looking to start up. We actually shot 90% of the film already in the height of the COVID-19 pandemic, believe it or not.
Wow.
And currently we're running an Indiegogo campaign to finish the remaining 10%. So if anybody's looking to jump on board, we have an Indiegogo campaign up currently. We have a few things on there, a few cool perks left, especially if you want to be in the film for an all new kill scene that we just added once we hit the 100,000 mark. So, and you get to act with a horror icon, genre fan favorite kind of person. Can't announce who it is just yet. But the movie in general, what I can say, stars Tony Todd, Jeffrey Combs, Tim Reed, Daniel Roebuck, Danielle Harris, Dee Wallace, Felissa Rose, Dave Sheridan, Mark Holton from Leprechaun, Terry Alexander. There's just a ton, David Howard Thornton from Terrifier. So there's just a ton of horror icons that are in the film and horror people, and really, really thrilled with how it's coming along. And it's actually a modernized, updated kind of slasher film that we're looking to bring to the audiences and really deliver something new and something fresh.
That's awesome. I really can't wait to see this. It definitely sounds like it's going to be great. I mean, with all of those horror icons involved, I mean, how can it not be? You know what I mean? So I definitely look forward to seeing this. So we know that in Terrifier, you played Will the Exterminator. So how did you happen to land this role? Did you audition for it? And what was that like? Or how did you get this part?
Yeah, so back when that film was being made and being put together, I was working on a movie called Abnormal Attraction with Malcolm McDowell and Gilbert Gottfried and Bruce Davis and Leslie Easterbrook, Tyler Main, a bunch of really, really great people. And one of my friends who was doing the sound, and he was a producer, invited another producer friend of his to come and visit the set. That person was Phil Falcone. Now, anybody who knows the Terrifier world, Phil Falcone is the executive producer of Terrifier and Terrifier 2. So Phil came by, saw the operation, saw what we were doing, and was really impressed. So he asked myself and a few of my team members from Fuzz on the Lens Productions to help him with his film, Joe's War, that he was doing at the time. He was directing with Amanda Sante and Ed Asner, really, really great cast as well. And through all of that, we ended up here, he ended up hearing that we love horror films, and he said he was producing this new clown film called Terrifier, and if we'd be interested in joining, helping out with crew and things like that. Eventually down the road, what happened was a role opened up for 2 police officers at the end of the film. And Phil says, can you send an audition tape in? Because I've not at that point met Damien Leone just yet. And he said, can you put an audition tape together for the cops? So I did, and my buddy Steve Delasala did. And we got the parts, right? So then about a few weeks later, Damien calls me up and says, well, I have another role that I think you'd be pretty good for. as opposed to being the cop role. He goes, and the only catch is you're going to die in the film and you wouldn't be back for any sequels. So I laughed and I said, well, if you're in a horror movie, right, shouldn't you have to die? And isn't that part of the fun? So he says, yeah. So I said, okay, I'll do that. And I think it'll be fun. I said, but if you're looking for somebody to play that other cop role that is now vacant, my brother has similar acting abilities to myself. And if you like what I did, he can probably do the same thing. Nice. So that's how he got the cop part. And that's how I ended up getting Will the Exterminator. And the rest is history.
That's awesome. So speaking, obviously you do get a very brutal death scene. So how was the scene filmed and prepped? What did they do to make this scene come to life?
So first, actually, you can see behind me, this is one of the, this is from the mold of my face that they did. So they did a whole life cast, which was also one of the reasons why I was a little nervous at first to do the role, because I had a life cast done before and I had a bad experience with it. And Damien was like, listen, don't worry, he's a pro. So he was just out of this world. The whole thing went smooth, but that was a little funny banter we had back and forth. But anyway, so we did the life cast here. Then Damien stipples the whole thing together. So this way he has the mold of my face done. It looks all realistic. And he does it in stages. So the first thing is it's myself, my real head, and I'm doing the acting and stuff. Then he ends up putting a prosthetic piece here where the blade's going in and you can see it actually deep and my head is moving and blinking and all that stuff. And then eventually through cuts and edits and different shots, it then gets replaced with that head for a quick cut through, snap and pick up. And then from there but Damien is so great in his attention to detail that he ends up CGIing eyes on the fake head and drooping and movements and stuff. So this way you can't tell when the practical ends up actually coming in. So that was the pre-process into the process of shooting it. When we actually did the scene itself, it was a very cold, I think February or March here, and we're in New York and in the Northeast, so it was very cold, and I was covered in gallons of blood, shivering. So while everybody got to take lunch, I had to sit in the warehouse, soaking wet on a car. What is it? One of those covers, one of those pads, since I didn't track the blood through the location. And I had to eat lunch all by myself. But, you know, in the end, it was all worth it.
Yeah, absolutely. A brutal death and memorable as well. Like it really is. A lot of the deaths most of the deaths, if not all of them in Terrifier are memorable. So what was the best part about filming Terrifier and what was the worst?
Okay. You know, the best part about shooting Terrifier and Terrifier 2 is the crew. The people that are on this project, behind the scenes, the cast, everybody that is a part of this is really, really a lot of fun. They've become great, great friends of mine, pretty much family. And we just have a great time. We have a blast. We have a ball. It's not really like you're working when you're with these people and you have this kind of connection and camaraderie. So any day there's something that's going to come up where you're really going to laugh and you're going to laugh a lot. And we're making a horror movie, right? So
yeah, absolutely.
But they're fun. And listen, we all love it. So that's the best part of it. The worst part, and this again goes for 1 and 2, is the hours are very long. And the reason for this is Damien is wearing many, many hats. We all are. And there's not enough crew. There's not enough people. So, you know, in order to, and we don't have that much money. So in order to accomplish, you know, high production value, we really end up going over a certain amount of hours, and that can get grueling after a while and you can get tired. But everybody believes so much in the film and the process and Damien and everybody involved that we just kind of truck through and make it happen.
Absolutely. So I'm assuming you are returning for Terrifier 2?
I am in behind the scenes. I am so for Terrifier 2, I'm the assistant director, and I'm also one of the producers on it. And my company, Fuzz on the Lens, is one of the production companies on the film. I make a few, you know, background appearances where it's like my arm or my shoulder or the back of my head, but nothing, you know, nothing where it's obviously me because Will the Exterminator is dead. But maybe for Terrifier 3, I'm trying to, you know, bribe Damien with something.
Maybe come back as a ghost haunting artist.
Exactly. Listen, once you start to get to like 4, if that ever happens, that's when we can jump the shark. And I'm going to start pitching Damien some crazy, crazy ideas.
Once you get to 4, you go into space.
Exactly. Leprechaun 4's in space. I mean, you're right. So at that point, if we're going to space, Will's coming back.
Yes, he's floating in the you know the up in the great beyond somewhere.
Exactly. So, we'll see what happens. Hopefully, if we're lucky enough to get to a 4, that would just be incredible. But right now, I'm
Yeah.
just having a blast making these movies and just being a part of
Yeah.
it any which way that I can.
Absolutely. So what was it like working with David Howard Thornton?
Great. I mean, so I just got to work. I got to work with Dave now on a few projects. Obviously, Terrifier 1 and 2, Stream. He's in that as well. I'm working with him on Night of the Living Dead 2, directed by Marcus Slabine. And then I did a few little short things here and there with Dave. The Dark Offerings, which is a feature coming out, I got to work with him on that. That we both have acting roles in. Dave's just a lot of fun to be around. He's a ball of energy. Dave, believe it or not, he plays this character that's mute and silent, but you can't get Dave to shut the hell up. He's always, doing impersonations, and so talented, and such a talented man. And anytime you're around him, you got to be on your A game, because he's bringing it, and you got to make sure, if you're going to go toe to toe with him with some improv and some jokes and stuff, especially with the cast of characters that are around us between David and Jason and Phil, you really got to be on your game to compete if you want to. So it's just fun, just a lot of fun.
Absolutely. So when you first saw the script of Terrifier, what were your initial thoughts about it?
So Damien was very protective of the original script. He hid stuff from certain people that weren't involved in other things, and I didn't want to look too much into it, because I wanted to kind of be surprised for the whole thing. But I could tell you this, is that from what I had read, I thought it was going to be a fun ride. And what I had seen just from Art the Clown, I knew this was a character that if we don't screw it up, this could be something really special. And definitely Damien did not screw it up, or nobody else anyway. And I think it turned out exactly the way it should have. But again, you never know these things. It's just kind of, you do it, you create, you put it out in the world, and then it's up to the audience to kind of connect or disconnect with it. But I could tell you, when I read Terrifier 2, and now it's going on, I read Terrifier 2 almost 3.5 years ago. So it was about a year before we shot it that I read it. And I just remember saying to myself, how the hell are we going to pull any of this off? It looks like, everything in there was like $1 million, $1.2 million plus budget wise from what I looked at. I was like, oh my God, this is really, and we pushed the boundaries. But I'll tell you, we accomplished 99.9% of everything. The only reason why I'm saying that percentage, that 99.9, is because there was one scene that Damien ended up cutting out, and it's not even a scene, it's a quick thing that he ended up cutting out early. But I'll tell you this, we could have easily accomplished it. It was actually the least hard thing to do in the script. So
nice. So
we really pushed.
So going off of that, what can we expect to see in Terrifier 2 that we haven't gotten in the first one?
So you're going to see more of the world, right? The first movie was very focused and on that warehouse, and it was just obviously the two girls, and then the third one came in, and a couple of side characters like myself. But this one, you're going to meet a lot of characters. You're going to see Miles County as a whole. It's a bigger movie. As Damien has said before, you'll get a taste of some of Art's origins, but not too much, because we want to keep that mystique about him. So I think anybody that's looking for a little bit more backstory, you're going to get it, but you're going to be satisfied that it's not going to go overboard like a Rob Zombie Halloween where it explains too much.
That's what I was going to say. Like, it's one thing, like in parts 1 and 2 of Halloween, the original, you didn't know much about Michael. The most you got was that Laurie and Michael were brother and sister, which wasn't bad, because it gave the reason why he's still stalking her. Like, she's not just the one that got away. There's that connection there. But then when you get into part 6, that he's driven by the cult, and
it becomes crazy.
It becomes crazy, and then the evil isn't mysterious anymore. It's you know what drives this evil in him, and you don't want that. That doesn't make him more scary at Waters.
Exactly. So Damien was very careful in making sure that, obviously this is a sequel, so you need to give the audience a little bit more, where it's not the same mundane thing. But I can tell you this right now, I think he really does a great job in making sure that he doesn't go over that, and still, he raises more questions, and I think people are going to enjoy that too. So
nice. So what was the most challenging part in filming both the first and second Terrifier?
So they're different stuff, really, between the two of them, because they're two totally different movies, even though that they're sequels.
Right.
You know, I could say a lot of the challenge was obviously because Damien's a one-person show. It's that he does the directing and the effects. That it was a lot of hurry up and wait because he has to do David's makeup. So that was really challenging, and challenging for Damien too, because that's a 3-hour process. And then by the time
Yeah.
that's done, now we're starting, and Damien's exhausted from doing that. But
Yeah.
obviously he brings his A game every time, and you never see him complain. You never see him yawn. You might see him pass out in the corner during lunch, but that's about it. But you know, so that, and then part two, I'd say everything was challenging, because it's such a bigger movie that I don't think people understand until everyone sees it, and then we can talk more about it. There is so much going on that I can't believe the stuff that we were able to pull off on the budget we were able to pull off, and what I wish I could tell you. But there's like several, not even one, several scenes that are going through my head that are just like, you know, how did we pull this off? And I think though we did it for the fans, and I think that the fans are going to really enjoy and appreciate what we did for them and for the
Nice.
franchise.
So when can we expect to see Terrifier 2 out on our screens, and where can we watch it?
So right now it's like almost done. Damien is just doing the kind of, they call it, you know, the putting the bow on it, where the sound design is being finished up. The color correction might even be done right now. I'm not sure. It's being finished up. You know, he obviously can answer that better than I can. The score is finishing up. So now what's happening is once these things are complete, and I think he's going to have an update coming out pretty soon, then it's about shopping it around for distribution and seeing where it's going to get picked up. So they're the ones that are going to really deem when it comes out, because it's kind of out of our hands at that point. But we're hoping for early new year. So we're getting to that point.
Awesome.
But again, the distribution companies could decide to hold it and say, well, now we rather it come out here, because to them, it's more fans are going to see it that way. But we're as close as ever. And we should be getting an update very, very, very soon. But our plan is to have this thing everywhere if we can. And it's just a matter of, you know, who picks it up. Is it the distribution company? Does it go to Netflix again? Is it something that could be in theaters, a limited run, or whatever? So we're going to know soon.
Awesome. Well, if you could set me up with an interview with Damien, that'll be great. I would love to, you know, give an update and, you know, really promote this on coming out and where they can view it. And whenever he has an update and everything, I would love to have him on the show. More than, you know, that'd be great.
Let him know.
Yeah, thank you. So the last question I have for you, do you have any other projects, social media accounts, or websites, anything at all that you would like to plug or promote to the listening and the viewing audience?
Yeah, so I mean, to find me, it's pretty simple. Fuzz on the Lens, fuzzonthelens.com, Fuzz on the Lens on everything, on Instagram, YouTube, Twitter, Facebook. That's really where you could find me from there, and you could find everything that we're working on. We're doing a ton of projects right now. We besides Terrifier, we did a film called Penance Lane with Scout Taylor Compton and Tyler Main and Danny Roebuck, who's playing Grandpa Munster in the Rob Zombie Munster film. John Schneider, if I said that, Bo Duke from the Dukes of Hazzard's in it. That you can find on Amazon Prime right now and a few other spots, but that's probably the best spot to look. Nice. And then obviously my main focus is stream. And again, you guys can check out the Indiegogo campaign. We have an incredible cast. We have some opportunities to star in the film and have a really cool death scene that'll be done by Damien Leone. He does all the effects in stream as well. Nice. So if you're interested in a Terrifier fan, that's a really cool thing to kind of come on board and be killed by the master himself. So that's really everything that's going on right now, but definitely stream is the number one that our focus is on, other than obviously Terrifier 2.
Awesome. That sounds like a plan. I can't wait to see that. If you have anybody from stream that wants to do an interview to promote that as well, just throw them my way or give me a heads up, say, hey, this is their information. I'll be more than happy to have them on as well. And I thank you, Michael, so much for joining me. I definitely can't wait to see stream. Everybody watching this, go and, keep an eye out, go to Michael's pages and keep an eye out for stream. If you can, donate to the Indiegogo. And if you can't donate, because maybe you're falling down on hard times, it doesn't cost anything to share it, because your share can lead to other people's, donations, and they'll be able to see the film as well, the project as well. So thank you, Michael, so much for joining me today.
Oh, thank you so much for having me on, Scotty. I really appreciate it. And we'll do this again when we're able to talk about some spoilers.
Absolutely. I look forward to that so much. Awesome. I really do. You have a great rest of your day.
You too, buddy. Thank you.
Bye.